Hello and welcome to the third episode in my Star Citizen Tactics and Tips series. For this video, I wanted to cover something slightly different than my previous two episodes, and that would be an overview of what I see as different fighting styles possible right now in Arena Commander. This is only going to be a broad overview, but I hope you still find it interesting and helpful. Everyone has their own preferred method of fighting. Some of us are impulsive and jump into things without thinking, while others like to wait until they know everything about the situation before making a move. Even if you only stick to one style of fighting, it's important to understand how other people may attack you, as knowing your opponent's tactics is key to defeating them. Of course, it should be remembered that currently we only have two small maps to play in, a choice of 3 ships and a limited selection of equipment. Other game mechanics such as stealth are not yet in play. This means that different styles of fighting are somewhat limited right now, but the future will yield many more options for engaging enemy targets. The title of this video describes my take on what I believe are two of the more prominent options available to pilots right now in the arena, be it single player or multiplayer. I've named these the Cat and the Rhino. So I called the first fighting style the Rhino, because it involves charging at enemies and genuinely playing in an aggressive style. To help define what I mean by this playstyle, I'd give it this definition: charging forwards, aiming to quickly knock out opponents and or put them on the defensive with an aggressive immediate assault. Now the first thing to know about this tactic is that it can either work really well or it can go horribly wrong. If it goes well, you can disable 1 or 2 ships in your initial charge, tipping the battle in your favour in a glorious first strike. If it goes badly, you'll be hit by weapon fire from multiple enemies whom you were charging at, and be blown to space debris before you can do any good, thus leaving your teammates a man down. This is not unlike the risks involved with rush tactics seen in many other games. There are, however, some steps you can take to make this tactic work more successfully. The first piece of advice is to use energy weapons. Currently, lasers appear to travel faster and more accurately than ballistic weaponry, and this will help you start landing shots as you fly in from further away. The aim of this tactic is to hit, then fly away from the enemy formation, as you don't want to be left in a dogfight severely outnumbered. As such, weapons that are made for close-up dogfighting are less useful here. In the future, when we have more weapon options available, there'll be more choice in tactics here. Currently, the Omninsky cannons that come standard on the 300i appear to be the most effective of the current lineup. Just a quick note, I do plan to do a future video in this series that will go over the different weapon types and the pros and cons to each type of weapon. The second tip is to divert power to shields. Even with power to shields, energy weapons will still be able to fire off a few rounds, and of course this won't hinder your ability to launch missiles. The reason to try and beef up your shield strength is to help protect you from fire that multiple enemies will likely send your way during your charge. You only need to buy yourself the time to launch a couple of missiles on your approach and shoot off some quick bursts of weapon fire to have a good chance of destroying at least one enemy. With power diverted to the shields, they will last slightly longer before buckling, which can make all the difference in the fight, buying the time you need. The third tip is more ship specific. On ships where the forward shield will cover the rest of the ship when looking head on, so currently only the Aurora and the Hornet, divert shield power to the forward shields. If you're charging head on, then you only need your forward shields to be at their best, because this is the side which will be taking the beating during the charge. Currently, the third ship available, the 300i, has a rear that is bigger than the front, so the forward shield will not cover the rear sections of this ship. For the 300i and other ships which may have rears that are bigger than the front, I recommend leaving the shields equally distributed. Finally, you want to pick the right ship for the job when playing like this. The key is to be fast, hard-hitting and durable. You don't need to be maneuverable, because after each charge you want to look at putting some more distance between you and the enemy while your shields and weapons recharge. An example ship is the Avenger. Although not yet flyable, it is listed as having a size 5 class 2 gun on the nose and a size 5 main thruster. Although we cannot yet evaluate its performance, this means it will most likely be very fast with great forward firepower. We'll have to wait and see to be sure, but it is likely this ship will be perfect for this kind of tactic. To sum up, charge at your opponents aggressively while changing your shields accordingly to protect you. Use energy weapons for long distance accuracy, and try to boost away once the attack is over to avoid being overwhelmed by enemy fighters. Now the opposite to the Rhino is what I'd call playing as the cat. This is an entirely different style of play. When cats hunt, they stalk, wait, analyse, and then pounce. This tactic revolves around the idea of engaging into the fight on your terms, when you're ready and you know that you have the advantage. So fighting in this style requires more patience and planning, rather than being impulsive and aggressive. I believe that there are three main techniques required to master in order to play in this manner. The first technique is to learn to hang back and keep distance from your enemies. Try to be far out enough so that you're not a primary target, but not too far away that you're effectively not in the battle. You still need to be able to pounce when you're ready, and you can't do that if it takes 30 plus seconds to reach your target. The second tactic is to learn to use the environment to suit you. Currently, Arena Commander has a very small and plain environment tactically speaking. There are, however, asteroids around the borders and large structures in the middle, and it's very possible to use these structures and rocks as barriers. By putting physical obstacles between you and the enemy, it's possible to manipulate the battle so that you don't get swarmed by enemies and you can pounce on them one at a time. Use obstacles to shield yourself from incoming fire, and also use them to escape from the fight by doing tight maneuvers around them so that you can return to pounce again when ready. Finally, the third technique is to learn to pick the right targets. You want to attack someone who is as vulnerable as possible so the odds are as much in your favour as they can be. When searching for targets, look for those separated from the main group. Look for those already in a fight that are unable to maneuver against your attacks. And finally, look for those who are damaged and only require a few shots to finish off. These targets may not be able to control their ship properly due to thruster damage, making them even easier targets. Yes, this tactic is what most would consider ganking and cowardly. However, it works, and war is never fair. A good pilot will not underestimate the dogfighting equivalent of a club to the back of the head when the stakes are high. So that's a broad introduction into the two main fighting styles I think that currently exist in Arena Commander. I know this is a very subjective topic, so I'll be looking forward to hearing what other people's opinions are on this. If you disagree with something or want to add in some extra points that you think I missed, then please leave a comment below. It'll be interesting to see how this topic of fighting style evolves as the game is developed. If you do have a preferred fighting style, it would be great to hear what it is and why. I have mentioned that I would be covering different weapon types as a future video. I'd also like to do one on teamwork and how a team can use these fighting styles together. As usual, other feedback about all aspects of this video is greatly appreciated, so feel free to tell me what you thought I did well and what you thought I didn't do so well. If there's anything I can do to make these videos better, I certainly will so. I hope you enjoyed watching this and found it at least informative or interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.